If you're eating healthy and working out consistently, but you're still not where you want to be yet physically or mentally, then what's holding you back? That is what the free Nutrition Gap quiz is here to help you find. You can take that quiz in the description box below to figure out what the gaps are in your nutrition, routines, and mindset, and what you need to do to start seeing progress faster. You can also find the quiz at 1percenthealthier.co/quiz, or again in the description box below. Now, let's get into the episode. One of the most common things that I hear from people when they're wanting to lose fat or tone up or eat healthier or just be more mindful of what they're eating is they talk about sugar first. I'm trying to watch how much sugar I eat. I'm trying to cut out sugar. Or your friend is inviting you to do a 30 days of no sugar challenge. And you know what? It makes sense because of everything that we hear in the media about what sugar does to us and how it causes this, that, and the other, inflammation, or people think that they're addicted to sugar. And trust me, I at one point thought that I was addicted to sugar because if I had one bite of a cookie, then I would have 10. So I understand what it's like to feel like you're addicted to sugar, but rest assured that being addicted to sugar is not a real thing. And I know that that's kind of a controversial opinion, but it is true. And today I want to open up the conversation around how can we eat healthier? What can we focus on instead of trying to cut out sugar, instead of trying to be restrictive with what we eat, and instead having a different and better mindset around our food. So I'm not here to make the argument whether sugar is good for you or bad for you. I think if you've been around here enough, you know that I don't see food as something that has a moral value, that food is good or bad, therefore we are not good or bad for what we eat. Rather, food is more nutrient dense, it's more nutritious than other foods, and every food has a place. Food can be more than just fuel. Food is also memories, it's also culture, it's also experiences. So anyway, without getting down to that rabbit hole of things, today I want to share with you a few tools that you can use to help you eat healthier, to help you reach your fitness goals, whether that is body recomposition, whether you are wanting to lose weight, whether you are just wanting to have better routines with food and not feel like crap when you're eating. I think those are all noble goals, and I think that there's so much better ways that we can go about it instead of cutting out sugar. So I'll give you a couple tools and tips and tricks, but speaking specifically to you, if you feel like sugar is your problem and you feel like, oh man, if I could just cut out sugar, everything in my life would be great. And if I could just stop eating sugar, then I would lose the weight, then I'd feel confident, then I would do X, Y, and Z. So if that's where you're at, I totally get you, and this podcast will help. So before we get into it, welcome to the 1% Healthier podcast. I'm Megan Timpson. I'm your host. I'm a nutrition coach and personal trainer, and I specialize in helping people eat healthy and live active lifestyles without dieting or restriction. So first of all, let's talk about the goal of this podcast. The goal of this podcast is not to help you eat zero sugar. The goal of this podcast is to get you to a place where sugar does not have power over you. And that means that you're no longer saying, take this away from me. I can't control myself around it because if I have one, then I can't stop. But then you just end up folding and saying, okay, I'll have one, and then you have another. I want you to get to a place where you feel like you don't need to do 30 days of no sugar challenges because, again, you're going to get to a spot where sugar isn't destroying your life or taking over your brain. And another goal that I have for you is to get you to a place where you don't have to white knuckle eating an apple when you really wanted a cookie, only to go back and eat the cookie and then more because you weren't satisfied. One of those reasons, speaking of, as we're talking about that I don't recommend cutting out sugar or restricting sugar as the best course of action if you're trying to eat healthier is because when you restrict something, psychologically you want more of it. And I was reading a couple studies, and what's interesting is that the people that feel more out of control or chaotic around food have some kind of history with restricting food or restricting sugar specifically. So if we know that that's a history of people, if we are not wanting to live our lives feeling crazy around sugar or feeling like we have to cut out sugar, then we need to let go of the restrictions that we have around it. And that might feel hard, especially if you feel like you're in a place where you're like, I'm not restricting sugar. Gosh, I'm like eating all the sugar that I can get my hands on, like literally anything, whether it's after work or whether it's at nighttime or literally if it's in the work office, in the break room or something. If it's there, I'm going to eat it. And you're like, so there's no restriction. It's not possible. But the thing is, we don't have to be physically restricting to feel restricted. There can also be some mental restrictions. For example, restriction can be self-imposed or self-intentional, like I'm trying to lose weight, so I'm trying to watch my sugar. Or it can be imposed where somebody in your life, a parent or somebody, either makes you feel bad about your body or wants you to watch what you eat, and so you feel restricted around them, so you don't feel comfortable eating around them. So it's causing this limitation and causing the chaos around sugar and making you go crazy around it when you are not around them. So if you are feeling like you are constantly craving sugar or constantly wanting sugar, that's just something to think about. Is there some kind of physical restriction where I'm legit trying to stop eating the sugar? Or is there like a mental restriction where somebody's made me feel bad about myself and made me feel conscious about what I'm eating and I don't feel comfortable eating? Is there any of that in my life? So that's the first thing I want you to think about, is where am I restricting sugar? Where have I tried? How many times have I tried to cut out sugar from my life? Because if you've tried to cut it out before, in the nicest way possible, what makes you think that it's going to work this time? Like, because it's genuinely, it's not a willpower problem, and it's not a discipline problem, and it's not that you need to try harder. Is this approach actually something that will work for you? Is this the smartest thing and the best thing that you can do for yourself? Again, I'm not making the argument that you need to be eating sugar all the time, all day, every day, but I'm trying to show you that there's a better focus that you can have if you're genuinely wanting to be healthy and eat healthier. Another thing that I want you to think about is, what if you are constantly craving sugar? One of the things that I look at when people are craving sugar is the balance of their meals throughout the day, because sometimes, without knowing it, you might not be eating enough of the right macronutrients for your body. You might not be getting enough protein. You also might not be getting enough fats to satiate you, so you're constantly looking for a quick hit of carbohydrates or a quick hit of sugar. Again, carbohydrates are not the enemy here, but if we can focus on balancing our meals, getting protein, carbs, and color at every meal, that is going to really curb your cravings and help you to have steady energy throughout the day, rather than those constant highs and lows of crashings and cravings. Another thing that I want to talk to you about is what happens when you are craving sugar or just wanting sugar at nighttime, and you're pacing around your kitchen because you want a sweet treat, and you're like, should I get one? Should I not get one? Should I get one? Should I not get one? I've had balanced meals throughout the day, and I just want a sweet treat, but I'm trying to be good, so I don't want a sweet treat, but I kind of want it. And again, you're just going back and forth with yourself and having this mental battle, and the goal is to be able to, one, not have those mental battles, because that's exhausting, and especially if you have a busy life and there's a lot of things you need to be thinking about, food is the last thing that we want to be arguing with ourselves about. It's something that should feel easy. Food can feel easy, and I think if you ever get to that spot where you are pacing back and forth in the kitchen, like thinking to yourself, should I get a sweet treat or should I not? Should I this? Should I not? Again, that's coming back to you're tying some moral value to how much you eat or what you eat or what you're allowing yourself to eat. What would happen? I really want you to think about this. What would happen if I actually allowed myself to eat sugar or eat a sweet treat? Let's talk about a cookie, for example. What if I let myself eat a delicious, amazing cookie? There's a really good one at Smith's that's chocolate chip and toffee. Now that I think about it, so good. What if I had let myself have one of those for after breakfast or with my lunch and with dinner every single day, 3 times a day? Do you really think, if you thought about it, do you really think that you would crave sugar as much as you did, or want that sugar as much as you did on day 30 as you did on day 31? Because you're so used to it. It's kind of like, is there something else I can eat now? Like, what if it was just a normal part of your day? What if it was just a normal part of your meal and it wasn't as big of a deal as you're making it mean? And I think that was a really big learning curve for me, because I personally, again, I used to think that I was addicted to sugar, and I used to think that if I could just cut out sugar from my life, I would be so healthy and happy. And what's crazy is I don't really eat that much sugar now, but I do like a sweet treat. I do like cookies, and I let myself have one when I want them. And I think that that's the real superpower, is if I really want it, then I'll let myself have it, and I don't make it mean so much anymore. But anyway, back to this story, is it does take practice to allow yourself and to get rid of the food rules, because food rules just are not helping you. And so I want you to think about yourself. How would I react and how would I feel if I actually allowed myself to have a cookie every single meal, or whatever your favorite sugary food is? What if I had that every single meal? I'm not even asking about, I'm not going to make you think about the nutrients or like how that would make you feel on that front, but like mentally, would you get tired of that? Would you just start to expect that that's going to be around? And so I started to trust myself around it anymore. I didn't feel compelled and chaotic around food anymore, or around sugar anymore specifically. How might that change your approach to sugar if you knew that it was always going to be there? If you knew you would always let yourself have one? If you actually knew that you would enjoy it rather than rushing through it and just getting it over with because you feel bad? How would that change your experience around sugar? That's something that I would love for you to explore and think about. And maybe that can be an experiment for you, is if I'm trying to constantly restrict sugar, if you are somebody that is in that camp of if I have one, then I have 10. That would be a really, really good practice for you of practicing allowing that in your life, of having a cookie with breakfast. And I'm sure that you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, how could I have sugar at breakfast? I was there too, I understand. But if you can have like a piece of chocolate at breakfast, you're gonna realize, oh, maybe it's not that special. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. Maybe I'm gonna be just fine, rather than only allowing myself to have a dessert or a chocolate after dinner and at night. So that's something to think about. Now, another thing that came to mind when I was sharing that was, when we have sugar, I want to give you a tool or two that will help you when you are eating foods, or in general trying to listen to your body better and honor your cravings, is when you want something, let's say it's crackers or a Cheez-It or some kind of snacky food, I want you to think about the fact that if you were really hungry and you had this craving for, let's say, goldfish, you could be like, I understand that I'm really hungry right now and I could just have the goldfish and that would be fine, but I know that it would take a lot of goldfish to fill me up, and I know that if I have a lot of goldfish, that's not going to make me feel that great. And that is a practice of, okay, like, I'm understanding what my body needs, I'm understanding what my body wants. So again, if I'm really wanting goldfish, I can have them, and if I have them by themselves, I know it's going to take a lot to fill me up. But I also know if I added the goldfish to something like a block of cheese or some deli meat or for a snack or on the side of a sandwich, if I had goldfish with something, it would fill me up and make me not feel as sick to my stomach, because I had other nutrients in there, some proteins, some carbs and fats that weren't just from the crackers. So that's another practice, and something that you can add to your tool belt is just the acknowledgement of, I can have this. I can have a cookie, and if I'm really hungry, I know that I'm going to need a lot of cookies to fill me up, and usually when I have that many cookies, it doesn't make me feel that great. And just practicing acknowledging that is powerful in itself, because you're just acknowledging, man, like, my body does need other things than cookies. And then you bring the power back to yourself, where it's like, whoa, yeah, sugar doesn't have that much power over me anymore, because I understand what my body needs. I can honor what I want. I can have a cookie, great. But I also know that I need fruits. I also know that I need vegetables. I also know that I need protein. So if you can prioritize those things and add what you want, then you are well on your way to creating a healthy, balanced lifestyle and eating healthier. And you'll notice that that makes you feel better in your body. You'll notice that that might have some changes in your body composition, and you'll feel better in your workouts because you're prioritizing the things that you need. And you're not beating yourself up for eating a cupcake or a cookie last night and thinking that you need to burn off those calories. So again, if you can remove all these rules around food and prioritize what you want, add what you need, it makes a world of a difference. Another tool that I wanted to share with you that I talked to one of my clients about the other day was, okay, what is the practice that we can have to add sugar to what we're doing, or having the what can I add mentality? So let's say, for example, you really wanted ice cream, or you had the craving for ice cream. You have two options. First of all, checking in with yourself and saying, am I physically hungry? Like, is there a hole in my stomach where I'm genuinely needing some nutrition? Or am I just wanting a sweet treat, and this is more of like a mental, like I'm celebrating somebody's birthday, or this is an emotional thing where I would just like enjoy some ice cream after a hard day? What's really going on? And when you get to that point, when you understand, like, okay, why do I want it? Then you're in a good spot to go to the next step. The next step is getting what you want and putting it on a plate. So instead of eating the ice cream out of the pint or eating from the thing, I want you to actually scoop it into a bowl. Just that practice itself will help you be more present in the experience, again, rather than feeling like I need to rush through this experience or feeling bad for wanting to eat ice cream, especially if I'm just wanting to eat ice cream just to eat ice cream. There's no other reason than I just want to. So again, take what you want, put it on a plate. Once you've got it on your plate, you have the option to be like, is there anything else I can add to make this more nutritious? Do you have to do this? No. But if you want to, you could add some fruit to that. You could cut up some strawberries to your vanilla ice cream, and that's delicious. And that gets you some extra nutrients in there. Again, do you have to do that? No, but it is a practice for you. So again, what I would love for you to practice is whatever you want to have. Get it from the cupboard, get it from the freezer, get it from the fridge, and add it to a plate. Add it to a bowl and actually go sit down with it. Let's not sit at the counter. Let's not stand up while we're eating. Let's not walk around. Let's not be driving while we're eating. Let's actually eat it. Especially if you're like me and you're going to Trader Joe's and getting some mini cones and driving home. Wait till you get home. Wait till you can look at the food and enjoy the food and sit down rather than eating it in your car. again, that is a different experience. It's a different eating experience, and it does make a difference. So if you're wanting to eat healthier and have a better practice and mindset around sugar and mindset around food, be present with it. So that's what I would invite you to do this week. If you are especially wanting to work on your sugar habits, or you're wanting to eat less sugar, that's something to think about, is sitting down, being present, adding it to a plate. Also, if you want to, you can practice adding it to breakfast and lunch and dinner, adding some kind of sweet treat in there to make it normal, to really take it off the pedestal and stop giving it the power that you're giving it. Sugar doesn't have to mean so much. And honestly, sugar is like great and everything, and there's cookies, but you crave it less when you start to prioritize what you need, and you enjoy it more when you also prioritize what you need. And that is a really fun place to be in, because I love donuts and I love cookies and I love fun things, but I also really love nourishing my body and really love eating healthy, and I don't feel guilty for any of it. And I think that's where I would love for you to be at too. So I want to end this episode with a quote and get back into that habit of sharing quotes with you every episode. Today's quote is, "The mirror will never smile before you do," which translating means the outer reflects the inner. So if you're wanting to change your outer world, or if you're wanting to change your habits, you must first change what's going on the inner world. You must first change your thoughts around things. You must change the way that you show up in the world. And that is small practices that are often uncomfortable. Those are small things that are often unnoticed by other people, but they're noticed by yourself. And those are the things that build confidence, and those are the things that really start to change the way that you see the world. So I hope that you think about that. The mirror will never smile before you do. I also want you to know that if you have habits that are bothering you with food, I really want you to know that change is possible for you. That's something that I would love to echo to everybody, that change and the tools to change are available to you at any moment you want to make a change in your behavior. In any moment that you wanted to make a change in your mindset, you can do it. And it was possible for me, it's possible for my clients, and it's possible for you. I know that. So if you're looking for support in this area, whether it is to eat healthier, or you're already eating healthier and you're already working out and you'd like to see more progress in that, take the free quiz below in the description box and find out what your gap is in nutrition to help you see more results. And if you're ready to take this to the next level, you can apply for one-on-one nutrition coaching or get the details to join my boot camp coming up in June. I'll have all the details for that on 1percenthealthier.co and on my Instagram at 1%.healthier. And if you have enjoyed this episode, please make sure to follow along on Spotify and Apple or YouTube if you are watching there. Thank you so much for being here, for being a part of the 1% Healthier community. Again, follow along and leave a 5-star rating and review to help other women come to the 1% Healthier community. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.